The final major transit of 2025 is here with Jupiter in Cancer, and it's going to have an impact all the way until mid 2027. In this episode, I'm going to share how you can work with these energies based on your own rising and moon signs. So, if you don't have your Vedic birth chart, you can get that for free at quietmindastrology.com. And you can also get the free guide to support this episode there at the same site. So, as the links are in the show notes, and we're going to jump right in to each of the signs of the zodiac in a moment. But first, just for everybody, if you want to know how this affects all of us equally, listen to the last episode. And that's about Jupiter in Cancer for everybody, regardless of your rising and moon sign. But for this one, make sure you listen to both your rising and moon sign to get a better interpretation of what's going on in your life. The ascendant's more like yourself and your general life overview, and the moon is more what's happening internally and emotionally. So filter what I say, if it's your moon sign, through more of your inner landscape and your emotional world. So we're going to go through each sign of the zodiac, jump in the timestamps to your rising and moon sign to dive in. First up, we have the Aries ascendant or moon sign. And in the free guide, you can see the opportunities and challenges you have to work with here. So, under opportunities, this can be a great time for deep emotional healing, reconnecting with family, and building a supportive home base. For your challenges, there could be issues of overprotectiveness, mood swings, and difficulty separating emotion from logic. So, how this shows up is being Aries ascendant, you have Cancer in your fourth house. And that means Jupiter will be in your fourth house now, roughly from late 25 to mid 27. This could mean a move of home. You might be changing homes. You might want to add some sort of expansion to your home. As generally a more positive energy in your home life, if you've been thinking about working from home, or in some ways just improving or expanding your home, this is good for that. Jupiter is aspecting to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the fifth aspect is to your eighth house of inner growth and transformation. This is a time where you might encounter a very powerful teacher in your life who's helping you grow a lot. And you might find yourself drawn to more esoteric teachings like astrology or yoga or occult studies, tarot, things like this, where you want to grow and transform and just learn about yourself. You might be doing that in a foreign country in the 12th house, or traveling on retreats, or going to places that kind of break your boundaries of, like, in a good way. Of Saturn and Pisces is about expanding boundaries and like learning to redefine what your boundaries are. So you might need to clarify some of the boundaries in your life, but there's a lot of potential for spiritual growth, maybe more than any other sign during this transit. And it's very positive energy. And it also brings potential growth to your career in the 10th house. Like I mentioned, possibly working from home or a new career path or new opportunities in your work. Overall, quite positive and favorable for your personal growth, your career, and your spiritual growth. And if you want to be traveling to foreign countries or going on a retreat or something like that, this is a good time to do it. And you just want to also look into your home and your personal life and maybe wanting to bring in a more expansive energy there, like moving your home or changing your home or adding something to your home. So it's a lot of positive energy overall. And there's a lot of deep emotional healing possible with that eighth house. Good time for reconnecting with family of your, as you've grown as an adult, or your family of origin, and building a supportive home base. Also potential for new vehicles, properties, land, things like that. The overprotectiveness and mood swings could come in because the emotional energy is very strong here, adding to the Aries fire. There could be some impulsivity around emotions and emotional reactivity. So, yoga practices are super helpful for helping you get a little space between a stimulus and your response. The Aries response is typically just go for it, but this is an opportunity to add a little space in there and not be too reactive and really harness the nurturing connective energies that are here for Jupiter and Cancer until mid 27. For Taurus rising and moon signs, Jupiter has entered your third house. And if you follow along in the guide, you'll see that there's opportunities now for strong communication, teaching, writing, and healing sibling or neighbor ties. There's challenges here, potential mental overactivity, speaking too fast, too soon. And there could be some resistance to new ideas with this. So, Jupiter coming into the third house is overall very good for learning anything, any new skills you want to develop, any new hobbies that you want to explore, and finding teachers who can really help you well in these paths. This is great for more travel in your life. Like if you want to be going around town, running errands, doing different work and projects in town, this could bring in more activity overall in your life. And if there's any skill set you want to develop, this is great for it. If you have siblings, if you have younger siblings especially, you may find your relationship improving at this time. And if you've had any troubles with communication, misunderstandings with people, particularly in the family, this is very positive. Or if you have a husband, if you're a heterosexual female, this is very deepening of the relationship with the husband, better connection, better intimacy in every way. And overall, anything to do with family is very good at this time, especially at the beginning of the transit with Venus in the fifth house. So, really good for romance and family improvements and bringing in more positive energy in the family. Now, Jupiter aspects your seventh house and your ninth house and your 11th house. So, this can bring in growth in the relationship. But this Jupiter in the seventh house is sometimes like not the best energy for relationships. So, you just want to be mindful of like giving too much energy and attention outside of the marriage or relationship if you are in one. Or if you're single, there could be like too many opportunities to kind of process and it's a little overwhelming. So, grounding practice is very important. I mentioned this on the episode for everybody. Grounding is especially important for you as the Taurus earth sign. And then Jupiter aspecting the ninth is great for travel, any kind of travel you want to do, pleasure, education, learning. If you wanted to go into some sort of higher education path over this cycle, that's very favorable. If you want to get a degree or something like that, this could be a good time to go back to school or go into a spiritual path. And then finally, very good for finances when you have structure in the finances, as Saturn's there, asking you to be structured with your income and budget, but it can bring a lot of growth to it. And long-term investments as well, very favorable here. And long-term gains, very good through things that you've committed to in the long term. It could be your career path, it could be long-term assets, it could be your marriage or relationship stuff that is bringing in more gains and resources through those long-term bonds. And if you're looking for work, connecting with a friend or a long-term relationship or somebody, not necessarily a spouse, but somebody important in your life may help you find those connections. For Gemini moon and ascendant, Jupiter has moved into your second house and it's bringing its blessings into your family of origin, more possibility, more abundance, more growth there. And also your family that you've built as an adult. This could be a chosen family or wife and kids or husband and kids. Especially for a heterosexual female, this is the husband. So this is a very positive energy for a relationship with the husband and deepening the bond and connection there. And if you follow along in the free guide, you'll see that the opportunities here are for financial growth through care-based work, service professions, things like that, or teaching. And greater sense of self-worth comes in at this time. There's potential challenges here of overspending on comfort and emotional eating and attachment to security. So Jupiter brings expansion wherever it is. The second house is food and what you take in as well. So whenever we talk about what we're eating, we look to the second house, and Jupiter may have you craving comfort foods. I laugh as the Gemini moon myself. I am already feeling this energy coming in, and I'm just loving my sweet potatoes with butter and ghee, and this kind of grounding stuff is just feeling like exactly what I need. some high quality cheese, this like heavy stuff. Usually I don't eat so much of this, but I'm really craving it. I happen to be in South America where it's been winter as well, but those of you in the northern hemisphere, as it's moving into the fall and winter, especially important to do the grounding stuff, the kapha stuff. And this is a very kapha energy. So you may be really enjoying the kapha foods for you as the Gemini rising and moon, and you really need it because Gemini is very vata in nature, and this is a more kapha energy coming in that can really ground all that vata energy out. And I like didn't realize how little fat I was eating until I saw this show and they like used a bunch of fat in this dish. I was like, I'm gonna try that dish, and I ate it and I was just like giggly. I felt so good in my body from all the grounding fat. It's like, oh, I didn't realize how little fat I was eating, and it feels so good. And you might have a similar experience throughout this cycle. And as I mentioned, there can be a lot of financial growth here. If you are a teacher, if you have something to teach, again, you can see me as an example. In some ways, I'm a teacher of astrology and yoga, and I love teaching. So if you like teaching or if you want to share your gifts, it's very good for that. If you're not a teacher, then just sharing your wisdom in some format, like that teaching doesn't always look like a lecture in front of a class. Like it could be you're just sharing your wisdom with your family, your kids, or friends, or hopefully not annoying them with it, like I did when I was younger, and finding a healthy outlet for it. But your self worth increases as a positive energy, your confidence increases. You might find yourself wanting to spend more and give more to things that bring you comfort. Overall, for everybody, this is a very positive energy. So enjoy. For Cancer rising and moon signs, Jupiter is right there on your ascendant. And whenever Jupiter goes over the ascendant like this, it's one of the most positive transits you can have, especially for Cancers because it's your rising sign and it's exalted there. And in anybody, when you have Jupiter in the first house, it ends up aspecting the fifth and the ninth house, which is the best aspect Jupiter can have, the fifth and the ninth. The best place Jupiter could be is the fifth house in general, but next best would be maybe equal as Jupiter in the first house for a Cancer ascendant. So this is a really good time for you. And as you see in the free guide, this can bring in personal renewal, more confidence, a clarity of your purpose, and just major life expansion overall. Like really good stuff. There could be over identifying with others' needs, emotional reactivity, and burnout from caring too much, especially for the parents out there. But this is great. Whenever you have a big transit in your first house, your sense of identity shifts. You become a new person. Like this particular one, you become more confident, more optimistic, more outgoing. Now, if you're not feeling those particular effects, you may feel some of the other ones, which is more wanting to nurture yourself and enjoy things that bring you pleasure and enjoyment, like high quality foods, a warm home environment, a cozy home environment, more of the internal kind of things. Because Cancer tends to be more really enjoying the comfortable internal landscape. So if you have this placement, it's can bring growth to that. But generally, Jupiter brings us out and to expand. And when it goes retrograde, you might really enjoy that nurturing inward time throughout this cycle. Jupiter aspecting the fifth brings a lot of luck and fortune, just new opportunities. You're in the right place at the right time. People are offering you things. It's just really nice. And then in the ninth house, you might encounter really great teachers in your life. You find new paths, new ideas, philosophies you didn't know about that just inspire you and invigorate you. The one challenging piece, though, is in the seventh house. Jupiter in the seventh can bring a sense of abundance, possibility, growth with your partner, but it can also bring a little too much energy, a little too much expansion. And with relationship, there's always a need for balance and compromise. So when you expand, that could throw off the balance of the relationship. So you want to make sure there is a healthy dynamic there. And for you, this is Pluto is also there. So there's a lot of deep psychological internal stuff that can be healed. So overall, it is positive. Don't need to fear this. But you could have a lot of growth through doing deep inner work, especially with your partner and your partner themselves will likely be going through a lot of deep transformation for a long time. There's 15 more years of this Pluto in Capricorn, so it's not going to be over anytime soon. And while you're going through this, it does bring a little bit of more positive energy and hopefulness and growth to that. So it's not necessarily bad at all, but your partner is just doing deep work. If you're single, then the person that you are going to attract is going to be a reflection of your inner work. So, regardless if you're single or together, the first place to really do work on relationships is with yourself, and then your relationship to source, spirit, the divine, and the people we attract are reflections of that thing. So, regardless of your status right now, this is a really good time to be doing inner relationship work. And we'll do that at the free workshop. You can check that out at the notes, show notes. This could be through therapy, through any sort of healing modality, embodiment practice, spiritual practice. It can be challenging. Like, it's not the easiest thing to work with Pluto in the seventh house. Like, that is bringing up deep stuff. We all have this. It's just like some people just ignore it and numb it out. But you have the opportunity to really go into it and really feel it and heal it. It takes a brave energy to do that, but Jupiter's here kind of protecting you from all angles and yourself, your opportunities, and your teachers to help you do this deep inner work. So it's a really benevolent force helping you do a lot of deep inner work and growth through this cycle. If you have Leo as your ascendant or moon sign, Jupiter has entered your 12th house. And if you follow along in the free guide, you'll see this can bring opportunities of spiritual insight, rest, completion of long cycles, and a lot of powerful inner guidance available to you. The challenges could be isolation, self doubt, fatigue, and difficulty just trusting the process of life. So, Jupiter is the teacher, the guru. The 12th house is spirituality. So, this is a really great place for Jupiter to be to bring you a lot of insight, personal growth, transformation. It is aspecting to the 4th house of home and the 8th house of spiritual growth, as well as the 6th house of your daily routines. So, Jupiter in the 12th house shows that you may be traveling abroad, going to a foreign country, or working with foreign teachers around the world. So, that means foreign to where you were born. Like if you were born in Britain and now you're in New York, New York is actually foreign to you. So, you're in a foreign country from where you were born. So, if you're curious what that means, but it's also foreign concepts. Like if you are, like for me, I was born in Minnesota into a Caucasian family, and in Hinduism and Indian teachings are very foreign to my family of origin. So that is a foreign concept that I had to seek out and go outside of the village, metaphorically, and find. So this time you may find yourself seeking out new ideas, new concepts, new things to explore, and interested in more things that are international, like potentially going to a spiritual retreat or a spiritual center. Something like that is very favorable during this time. For heterosexual females, your husband may be traveling more for work. There may be some distance there in the relationship that could just be work related or travel or education or something. They're just going away for a while, or that there is some distance emotionally in the relationship. So, overall, it's a more positive energy. So, if you tend to be on the more anxious side and you're having more distance with your partner and everything's actually okay, just being aware of that anxiety with the relationship can be helpful, and come back to yourself and doing what really nourishes you is important. For every Leo rising and moon, again, this is also affecting the 4th house. So it's aspecting the 4th, where it's like Jupiter's there a little bit, bringing expansion in the home, and you might want to renovate the home or change the home in some way. This is a favorable energy for moving home if that's in the cards for you, if you feel called towards that. And very good for your daily routine to like improve your rhythms and cycles and like your habits. If you want to bring more spirituality into your everyday life, you'll find that easier to do now. Things like meditation may have been harder in the past. Now it's easier and you want to do it and you look forward to it. It's a very positive energy, and a lot of deep inner work can be done now with this cycle. Pluto's been over your sixth house here for 5 years. It's going to be 15 more years still. And that could bring in some like unique, unexpected enemies like that are, you have to do some deep work around challenges that you have with obstacles in your life. This is a protective force coming in now to make it easier to deal with those things. It could be actual like legal disputes. It could be subconscious beliefs and patterns of the past, self sabotage, things like this. This just helps resolve a lot of that stuff, bring a lot of peace to those conflicts in your life. If there's like a pending legal dispute to address, like this helps you resolve it and brings in the energy to like finish it up, resolve it, let it go, and move on. But you will be doing a lot of deep work for 15 more years after 27 when this moves. So you still got a lot to do there, but it can be a lot of your greatest lessons and insights and maturity can come through that work. And then Jupiter aspecting the eighth means part of what I said before. There could be some sudden changes in your life, some big transformations and shifts in your life. Like if you've been stuck in a job and you want to change it, or there's something stuck in your relationship, or just anywhere you feel stuck in your life, this helps you break through that and restructure the boundaries and rhythms and things in your life that need to be moved around. Overall, quite a positive energy. There can be a lot of learning and growth in this cycle for you. And you want to be careful with the isolation. You know, Jupiter going in the 12th house, you might be drawn and like enjoying like the meditative kind of spiritual stuff, but it could be at the expense of connection and warmth, which generally Jupiter in Cancer brings a lot of connection and warmth. But there is a potential here that you are kind of losing the connection and warmth. Minor. So if this starts to come up, you feel like you're losing your connection with your spouse, or you feel like the warmth in your life is going away in some way, uh, you're protected in this. Like you'll be okay, but just think long term because this is a long cycle where there's going to be some kind of going back and forth in these lessons. And you're able to have the spiritual path and the insight without needing to cut people away or isolate too much. Rest is very important as well. Things that bring you down in the parasympathetic mode are very helpful here to kind of balance out the strong fire of the Leo rising. But this could be a really good time for you to do more nurturing, releasing, letting go kind of work. If you have Virgo rising or moon in your Vedic chart, then Jupiter is going through your 11th house throughout this transit. And if you follow along in the guide, you'll see this can bring new friendships into your life, supportive community, and group leadership opportunities. You want to be aware of the potential pitfalls of people pleasing, having blurred boundaries, or carrying others' emotional weight. So, if you've been wanting to make new connections in your life, meet new people, get involved in causes and communities, this is great. Like you're very likely to be meeting new people. Your contact list is expanding. Your network is expanding. Your income is expanding. There's great opportunities here to share your gifts, to teach, to be prosperous. If you have something that you teach or share, this is a great time to make income from doing that, increase your wealth from doing that. Jupiter is aspecting to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means it's aspecting to your third house and your fifth house and your seventh house. So Jupiter aspecting the third makes this an amazing time for learning new skills, anything that you want to learn, especially things that have to do with education or communication, like marketing, business. People who have strong third houses tend to do very well in sales and marketing. So this increases your ability in that realm. And any hobbies, any hobby that you're interested in, like playing an instrument, especially things with the hands, gardening, playing instrument, I already said. But any hobbies that you have, Jupiter there is very good and brings a lot of possibility there. In the fifth house, this is a very positive aspect as well, bringing more fortune and luck in general. And Pluto is there in your fifth house. So you've been doing some really deep work around relationships and romance and your inner child kind of work. So this brings a protective energy to do that work and connect to your inner child in a deep way. If you have children, this helps you connect to them in a very deep way and helps that relationship of the children with the children to be one that is very healing. And you could be overcoming generational issues and karmas with this time. Very nice. And it brings general fortune in general fortune in general, like just good luck and like being in the right place at the right time, more synchronicities, more opportunities. And then to the seventh house, this one is a little bit tricky. So there could be a little bit imbalance in the relationships to balance out. But with Saturn here, it is bringing you a lot of maturity and growth throughout this cycle. So you're really deepening your sense of commitment to a relationship, like what you really want, something you could do long term, whether you're already in a long term or you're considering or starting one. This brings maturity and long term longevity to the relationships. And Jupiter brings a sense of hope and optimism to the relationship. Like, we could do this, we could do that. It's exciting, it's expansive, but it could be a little too much. So you don't want to come on too strong with this energy in your relationships, but it's very likely to see a lot of growth through the partnership over this cycle. You want to be aware of people pleasing here and blurred boundaries. Jupiter wants to expand in the network of the friends and just be generous and friendly and give. And that can be nice, but if you're tending to people please, if you know that you have that pattern, if you tend to give too much, you may find yourself kind of giving until you burn out. So be mindful of that energy here. But overall, it's very, very positive and good for meeting new people, learning new skills, connecting to your inner child and connecting to your children if you have them. And if you've been thinking about having kids, it is a favorable time for that. With anytime Jupiter is aspecting or transiting over the fifth house, can be good for that. And for your relationships, just think long term and bring the energy, bring the positivity, but also keep it grounded and have firm boundaries. And Saturn in the seventh is teaching you boundaries around relationships as well, where you need to make sure you're not giving too much of yourself that you get resentful or burned out. If you have Libra rising or moon sign, then Jupiter has entered into your 10th house for this transit. And if you follow in the guide, you'll see that for Libras, there's an opportunity here for career advancement through teaching, mentorship, or emotional intelligence. There's a potential challenge of overextending yourself to please authority, a fear of judgment, and some work family tension happening here. Jupiter brings expansion, 10th house is career, Cancer is nurturing. So anything to do with service, helping, providing, caring in the career, very good, can bring a lot of opportunities, recognition, fame, and success through this time. The 10th house is where we're most visible, where the sun is at its brightest. And now people are seeing you and noticing you and acknowledging you. And things like social media could expand a lot now. And the recognition and rewards and appreciation can expand a lot during this time. There will be a point later in 27 when K2 comes here and when Jupiter's there. So you may find a more spiritual energy coming up in like 27, where you might be already before that's coming. You might sense there's some need to maybe change the career a little bit or bring in a more spiritual influence. This starts that cycle now. And this is a time where if you want to be bringing in more of your voice, your wisdom, your intelligence, your experience into what you're doing, this is a good time to start doing that. Jupiter aspects to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Jupiter's aspecting to your second house, your fourth house, and your sixth house. So to the second house, this brings you potential increase of resources and income, especially through a spouse. If you're heterosexual female, especially through a husband. and general positive energy supporting family dynamics. And this also aspecting the home can increase home attention. And there could be some push pull here between work life balance. You're expanding and growing a lot in your career. Maybe while there's some deep stuff in the home with Pluto there that needs to be addressed, that's kind of heavy, kind of deep, kind of hard to look at. But Jupiter does bring a protective energy to help you do this and help you look at it in things to do with your relationship to your mom, your home life, and the home that you've created. You may be considering moving the home or changing the home in some way. But you've got a long cycle here with Pluto there, 15 more years to be uncovering deep family stuff and ancestral stuff. That is not easy, but it's also some of the most rewarding stuff and can help you build the most self-esteem and growth and confidence and maturity. So consider it a blessing, and especially late 25 to mid 27, there's a lot of blessing energy around it of like, here's an opportunity for you to grow a lot and make a huge impact in the lives of the people around you and in your family tree. And then Jupiter aspecting the sixth house helps you redefine the boundaries of your routines. So if you've been wanting to bring in more positive habits in your life and healthy habits, it's easier at this time. If you want a better routine in your life, it's a little easier at this time. But it's got to be a more spiritual lens. Like, if you start slipping into bad habits, things that are hurtful to you that you don't really want to be doing, it's harder to keep doing that. The pain gets louder. So it might not be for if I say that easy to transition into more healthy habits, you might find that's hard. Maybe it's because the pain of the unhealthy habits is getting louder. But when you can let that go, you can release those. This is a big opportunity now to set a really nice foundation for the next several years, because it's going to be an interesting time for you when Saturn moves into your seventh house. Uh, that will be in about 2 years. But you're kind of setting the stage right now for like healthy habits and routines and boundaries in your life, so that when that happens, it could set you up for like a really healthy long-term relationship situation, either deepening it or expanding it. But overall, it's a quite positive energy. So increasing your healthy habits and letting go of the unhealthy habits. If you have Scorpio rising or moon sign, then Jupiter is transiting over your ninth house. And if you follow along in the free guide, you'll see that this is favorable for travel, study, higher learning, and teaching wisdom from your experience. There's potential challenges of being dogmatic, being overconfident in your beliefs, being overconfident, and escapism instead of discipline. So, Jupiter, the guru, the teacher, is in its own house essentially. Jupiter is associated with the ninth and the 12th houses. So, this is a great place for Jupiter to be. And it brings a sense of possibility in any educational path. If you want to learn a new subject, if you want to find a new teacher, if you want to be reading new books, this is a sense where you're just learning and growing a lot. And you feel this sense of like abundance and possibility and new ideas and new insights and new intuitions. Very positive. You might find a teacher who's like a mentor and they feel like nurturing and warm and caring, and you create a really nice connection with them. And then Jupiter is aspecting to the first house. So your whole sense of self and identity is being renewed, and you're feeling more confident, more embodied, more present, more of this sort of spiritual wisdom and like synchronicity. And you're like in the flow of life. It's just a great transit. And then it's also aspecting to your fifth house where Saturn is. So it's bringing in a lot more opportunities, luck, and fortune in your life, with the caveat that Saturn delays and rewards patience and hard work. So your lucky big break might be there, but it might be slower than you'd like. And supportive, lucky opportunities might take some time. So you might find, oh, I have this big opportunity to do this cool thing. And then you start to do it. And then actually it's delayed. Actually, it's different. Actually, you've got to wait. So it's teaching you patience and maturity and a lot of life lessons and wisdom. And if you are in a romantic relationship, it also requires a bit of patience with that. And if you have children, some patience with the kids. If you're wanting to have kids, some patience with that process can be helpful as well. Jupiter here is teaching you the structures that are necessary in your life to have the flow of life force to move through you. That could be children, creativity, creative projects. It rewards patience and just enjoying the journey rather than just the destination in every way. Romantic relationships, creative projects, children. And overall, again, very positive. It's bringing helpful people, like the invisible hands, like Joseph Campbell talks about. When you're clear on your purpose and your mission and what you're moving towards, the universe conspires to help you. But in this case, it's just going a little slower than you might like. So enjoy the journey. Just like in every movie, it's like they set out a goal, and if they just reach the goal, the movie is not interesting. What makes the movie interesting is that they have to overcome some obstacles and challenges, and that's Saturn. So there's opportunities here for a lot of growth through those challenges. And Saturn delays but doesn't deny. So those rewards are likely to come later on. Just like planting a tree, it takes time and eventually you get the fruits of it. Jupiter also aspecting the third is awesome. So if you want to be learning any new skills, new hobbies, this is the time to learn any new skill that you'd like. A lot of possible expansion in your daily lifestyle. Like either you might be traveling a lot more either way, whether it's in in your city, but also traveling on trips around the country, things like that. More travel is likely throughout this cycle. Pluto being in the third is helping you uncover some deep patterns with this cycle. It's for 20 years, from 2020 to 2040. So you're uncovering deep patterns around your family of origin, around your way of expressing yourself, and finding deeper ways to connect to your authenticity. Jupiter is helping you with that work right now, making it more authentic, bringing you a sense of opportunity, optimism, hopefulness around how you express yourself. And the skills that you're learning right now are very deep skills, like not surface level stuff. So this is a great time to be learning things like psychology, astrology, therapy, therapeutic kind of stuff, understanding the inner workings of things. And it also could be like IT, technology kind of stuff, computers, computer sciences, because that's all also like deep under the surface kind of stuff. So it's very favorable for that as well. But a big theme is like finding a teacher that you resonate with and working with them. I'm a big proponent of mentorship. My mentors have made me who I am and been so important to me. And with this placement, it's like you can have really great relationships with the teachers in your life. Just want to be careful not to become dogmatic and attached to any particular ideas or become escapist and like not being disciplined about it. Just be too optimistic, too free spirit. 'Cause this can be a very positive, like fun, hopeful, exciting energy, but it also needs to be grounded, especially with the Saturn aspect in the fifth house and how you express yourself creatively and romantically and around the topic of children, which could be the kids you have or want, or your creative projects, or also pets, which are sometimes called people's children as well. So overall, very nice energy to work with, though. If you have Sagittarius as your rising or moon sign, then Jupiter is going to your eighth house. And if you're following along in the free guide, you'll see that this can bring deep transformation, shared wealth and resources, inheritance, and emotional intimacy. But there could be some power struggles, control issues, and fear of vulnerability. So, this is very nice if you are in a relationship to increase resources together. So, their spouse may be getting a pay raise. You might have more resources to share together, but this can also bring sudden changes in your life for the good. Jupiter is a benevolent energy. Eighth house is sudden changes. Cancer brings a nice energy to this as well. So just expect some spontaneous, sudden changes throughout this cycle, late 25 to mid 27. But overall, they have positive outcomes. And you may find big opportunities and places to grow. These things may happen to you, but you can also proactively create them by seeking out teachers that you resonate with and the spiritual paths that you align with. And you can find yourself having some of your biggest personal growth through this cycle. It's also aspecting your 12th house. So foreign travel is very favorable. If you want to go on a retreat or to a foreign country, this can be a really nice time to do so. And it's also aspecting your 4th house of the home, where Saturn is, requiring you to balance things out a bit here, boundaries in the home and your own personal growth and your travel. And you may find a need or desire to, in some ways, change the home or change the structure of the home or renovate the home or move home. But this is a grounding force here as well. So you want to focus on the home as a place that can feel grounding, safe, and supportive. And it can be during this time. It's also aspecting the 2nd house of family and assets and resources. So this can bring in an increase in resources and assets. And through Pluto, it's like looking at deep psychological stuff in the family and the history. So you may find yourself over the past 5 years and the next 15 years with Pluto there, uncovering some deep stuff through the childhood and through the family of origin. Jupiter brings a protective force here to this work so that now you can really heal some of these things from the childhood that have been there. But there's still a lot more of that work to do for 15 more years. And we all have that to some degree, but especially you right now, there can be a lot of growth through it. So it's good to be doing some sort of therapy or therapeutic work to process this stuff. Astrology can help a lot gain perspective of it, but there's a lot of deep inner work to be done here that can lead to a lot of big growth. And that can also, therefore, increase your finances, your resources, your assets, and increase and improve your home life. And this time, you want to be aware not to get escapist and just try to escape and like go to a foreign country and get out of it. And you might have some uncomfortability with the vulnerability. And there could be some power struggles in the relationship here, especially in the home. But vulnerability is strength and it is courage. And Jupiter is kind of supporting you, nudging you to like be a little more open your heart, be a little more vulnerable. It's a nice supportive force here. For Capricorn, ascendant and moon, Jupiter is moving to your 7th house. And if you follow along in the guide, you'll see that this is positive for partnerships rooted in trust and shared values. It could be a spiritual marriage potential here or deepening of a relationship in a spiritual way. And there could be some emotional dependency going on, some avoidance of conflict, some imbalance in giving and receiving happening. So this is, of all the placements, this one is one of the more challenging ones for Jupiter to be in the 7th house, because it can have you a little bit struggling with finding the balance of things in the relationship. But it's aspecting the 1st house, so it's increasing your sense of confidence, yourself. Overall, it is positive. It's still a very positive force. Like it's going to increase the warmth in the relationship. If you're single, increase the warmth of relationships around you and potential dating partners. If you're thinking about marriage, there's a great potential for a spiritual marriage or partnership. If you are married, this is great for expanding that deepening of that connection. But if you're single, like you may have an issue of like too many people to date. It's hard to find the right partner. Or if you're in a relationship, there could be some issues of people pulling attention away from the relationship and too much energy out away from the partnership. Jupiter is aspecting to your 11th house. So this brings a lot of potential for meeting new friends and colleagues and communities, which is positive. Like you may find yourself growing into communities with people who have more wealth, and that helps increase your wealth. This is favorable for overall increasing assets, resources, and wealth, especially through the work that you do, like your earned income, like going to a job or running a business. If you're thinking about starting a business partnership or expanding a business partnership, this is good for that. And in the 3rd house, Saturn is there. So this is bringing more discipline to your hobbies and passions and interests. And that's a very good place for Saturn to be in the 3rd house. And then it's ruled by Jupiter. So if you're wanting something like writing a book or doing something that takes a lot of patience or learning a hobby or skill that takes some patience, or if you need to talk through some difficult things and you may find your ability to talk through them is improved when you write things down first or sort of plan it out a bit more and have a structure to your learning path or the path that you're on, the hobbies you're doing. And through that, they can be really good. Like you can have really great growth conversations in your life. You can have some really positive habits and hobbies and routines that set you up for a really nice future in a lot of ways, but also just enjoying life. It's very good. Any skills you want to develop in the long run, this is really good for learning skills that take a long time, like learning a language or learning a difficult skill like astrology. And that first house aspect is very nice to bring a sense of growth and expansion in your life. And so that's aspecting Capricorn, which is Saturn's sign. But it's also like Saturn is ruled by Jupiter now. So overall, like there's a very benevolent energy in your life, your sense of self and confidence and expanding and growing. And it's quite nice. So enjoy. If you have Aquarius rising or moon sign, this Jupiter transit is over your sixth house. And if you follow along in the free guide, you'll see this can bring health improvements through emotional regulation, new sense of purpose in your daily life. There could be some anxiety, some overworking, difficulty setting boundaries with clients or coworkers. Now, this is one of the best placements for anything to do with health and wellness. And I see a lot of people who are like doctors, healers in the healing professions who have Jupiter in the sixth house. So, as you're going through this transit, you may find yourself really drawn to healing modalities, learning these things. Maybe you want to become a healer or deepen your own healing journey. If you had any issues with health, wellness, diseases, this improves dramatically when Jupiter moves here. It brings a protective force around your health and wellness. And it is aspecting to your 10th house and second house, as well as your 12th house. So Jupiter aspecting the 10th can bring a benevolent energy to your career, more opportunities, more positivity, more growth in your career. There can be just like sudden growth and sort of surprising opportunities because this is Scorpio, which is sudden. And you may have experienced throughout your life as an Aquarius rising and moon or moon that there are sudden changes in your career with Scorpio, but this is very positive sudden changes now. The aspect to the 12th shows this could be a good time for foreign travel that is deeply healing, like a retreat or something like that. But overall, the energy is more favorable in the routines, in the mundane, in the day to day. And there can be a sense of positive energy, like you're doing what you love, you're enjoying foods, you're enjoying music and activities that nurture you. You feel more connected emotionally to your loved ones in your daily life, and your daily life becomes more of these things, a very positive energy. And then the aspect to the second house where Saturn is shows a need for clearer boundaries and structure around your family. And that could be your family of origin or your family if you've had kids and a partner. So more structure in place, more boundaries in place, more not too rigid, but definitely not as loose. Like a little more stira, a little more firmness here on things to do with your resources, your finances, your family. And there can be a lot of growth and healing through addressing family stuff through therapy or inner work or inner child work and addressing that stuff so you can learn from it and grow through it and become more mature and wise on the other side. It's not the easiest stuff. It can be a bit heavy, but Saturn slows things down so that we can enjoy things that take a long time to make, like growing a tree that produce fruit. It takes time. And this is part of the process here over really like till mid 27. You're going through this process of tending to the roots of your life and addressing things at the root matter of like if you have a particular pattern with relationships or finances or health, the root of it is very likely is often in the family of origin. And through that kind of deep work, there can be a lot of improvements in your health, your finances, your work routine. and your overall life. So, very nice energy overall. And your emotional regulation is important here. There could be some anxiety and heightened energies here, overworking, but overall, it is quite positive and not something to worry about too much. I think if you're doing the grounding inner work and you've got nice routines that feel like connected to your health habits, you're feeling nurtured, however that looks for you, that helps reduce that anxiety a lot, which is more of a sympathetic nervous system response or a vata energy. And this whole transit calls for a more kapha energy, especially as an Aquarius air sign, like more grounding, more kapha, more earth to help balance things out. And if you are Pisces, rising or moon sign, this Jupiter transit is over your fifth house. And if you follow along in the guide, you'll see that there's big opportunities here for creative inspiration, romance, joy through teaching, and children in your life, potentially working with kids or having kids. There's an artistic rebirth happening for you. There could be on the challenging side, you could be overly idealistic, you could have some creative burnout and seeking validation through others. But those are minor. I've got to say something because there is potential negative of everything. But this is one of the most positive places Jupiter can be. Very nice, very positive. And it's aspecting your Saturn in the first house and your ninth house as well. These are the best aspects for Jupiter to have in general for positive energy. And then aspects to the 11th of gains. So this can increase income. This can increase long-term gains and assets and resources and opportunities and communities of people that want to help you out. Very nice stuff. So Jupiter in the fifth house on its own could be a sign, an indicator of kids coming into your life or wanting to have kids, or if you already do have kids, increasing the connection, the more positive relationship there. If you are thinking about it, or maybe you don't want kids and you're not sure, this could also be creative energy. So children are a creation and a blessing. And you can also have other creativity or blessings, like maybe you want to write a book or start a podcast or create some sort of content. This is very good for that, and you feel very inspired. And the potential is you may be too idealistic or naive or overly overwhelmed by the opportunities of creativity. That's the potential downfall. So for everybody, it's important to stay grounded in this, especially with the water sign. That's not earth, so you want some earth energy like kapha, grounding, feet on the ground, grounding foods to help balance it out. With the ninth aspect, you may be desiring to travel more and finding great teachers in your life, especially about esoteric subjects like the occult or tantra or astrology or yoga. You're finding these teachers who help you have big transformation in your life. In the 11th house aspect, you're getting opportunities for great gains in your life, but you are on a journey started in 2020, ends in 2040 to uncover some deep patterns around money and your resources and what you gain from the work you do, your assets that you gain, that you create through your effort and your work. You're uncovering deep patterns there, and Jupiter now is helping that work become easier and protecting you to do that work to heal those patterns, to have healthier patterns from the deep roots of your nervous system and your psychology. This is very good. But it does require some deep insight and inner work and exploration, excavation to find that. But you can really rewire your whole relationship to income with this cycle. It can be very positive. And then the aspect of the first house, your sense of self is expanding and growing, and your sense of opportunity, but it takes some time. So be grounded. Don't be too naive or overly idealistic with this. Think things will take longer than you expect. Think that your vision might take longer than you'd like to manifest, but it will manifest. Saturn delays but doesn't deny. So if you're patient, you can see amazing fruits from this around 27, 28, when Saturn moves out of here, and you're really sort of getting the fruits of the roots that you're nurturing now. And it's happening throughout this whole cycle through 27. So it's not all going to be waiting, but things will be slower than you'd like. and your sense of self and who you are and your identity, your confidence might be a little bit lower than you're used to. But when Jupiter moves here, and when it's in Cancer throughout this cycle, it brings a more optimistic, hopeful, positive nature, and it's very nice. So you got that to look forward to as well. And that is the final sign. If you enjoyed this podcast, check out quietmindastrology.com to learn more.